The sun sank below the horizon, casting a fiery glow across the endless golden dunes of the Sahara. Purrdiana Claus, the most audacious feline archaeologist of his era, stood atop a windswept ridge, his wide-brimmed hat tilted rakishly against the desert breeze. His amber eyes gleamed with determination, and his sleek tabby fur rippled as his tail flicked with restless anticipation. In his deft paws, he clutched an ancient map, its edges frayed and brittle from centuries of secrets. The faded ink traced a path to the fabled Feather of Destiny, a mystical artifact steeped in myth, rumored to bestow unparalleled wisdom and agility upon its bearer. Whispers among the animal kingdoms told of its power. Whoever wielded the feather could command not just their own kind, but perhaps the very fabric of existence itself. Purrdiana's whiskers twitched as he deciphered the cryptic inscription scrawled across the parchment in an ancient dialect of Phalidi script. "The feather rests where the moon meets the jungle," he murmured, his voice a low rumbling purr. His sharp mind churned through the possibilities until a single location crystallized in his thoughts. The lost aviary of the Inca Paz, a forgotten temple buried deep within the emerald heart of the Amazon rainforest. Few had dared seek it, and fewer still had returned to tell the tale. But Purrdiana was no ordinary cat. He thrived on the edge of impossibility. A perilous journey begins. The next morning found Purrdiana at a dusty airstrip on the fringes of civilization, where a rickety cargo plane awaited. Behind the controls sat Whiskers McFly, a scruffy alley cat with matted gray fur and a devil-may-care grin. Whiskers had been Purrdiana's companion through countless escapades, his piloting skills as reckless as they were brilliant. The plane's engine sputtered to life, coughing black smoke as the pair exchanged a knowing glance. "Ready for another dance with death, Purr?" Whiskers rasped, his voice roughened by years of yowling over roaring engines. "Always," Purrdiana replied, adjusting his hat with a flick of his tail as he settled into the co-pilot's seat. They took to the skies, the plane groaning under the strain, as it crossed the vast expanse of the Atlantic. Hours passed uneventfully until the horizon darkened with ominous storm clouds. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the cabin with jagged flashes, and the wind howled like a chorus of vengeful spirits. Purrdiana's ears flattened as he sensed the wrath of Bastet, the ancient feline goddess, stirring in the tempest. "Hang on, Purr," Whiskers yowled, his claws gripping the yoke as a bolt of lightning struck the plane's left wing. The aircraft shuddered violently, smoke billowing from the damaged engine. The world tilted into chaos as the plane spiraled downward, plummeting toward the dense canopy of the Amazon below. With a deafening crash, the plane tore through the treetops, branches snapping like brittle bones. Purrdiana braced himself, his feline reflexes kicking in. The moment the wreckage came to a halt, he sprang from the twisted metal, landing nimbly on all fours amidst the jungle's tangled undergrowth. He adjusted his hat with a casual flick of his tail, unfazed by the near-death experience. "Another perfect landing," he smirked, casting a glance back at Whiskers, who was extricating himself from the cockpit with a string of colorful curses. The jungle pulsed with life around them, vines coiled like serpents, and the distant roars of jaguars echoed through the trees. Purrdiana pressed forward, his senses sharp as he navigated the labyrinthine terrain. The air thrummed with the calls of unseen creatures, howler monkeys, macaws, and something far more sinister lurking just out of sight. After hours of trekking, he paused at the edge of a clearing, his keen eyes catching the glint of weathered stone peeking through the foliage. There it stood, half reclaimed by the jungle, the lost aviary of the Inca Paz, its towering arches adorned with carvings of long-forgotten feline deities, traps, trials, and a feather of legend. Purrdiana stepped cautiously into the temple's shadowed interior, his paw pads silent against the cool stone floor. The walls shimmered with eerie golden inscriptions, their glow casting dancing patterns across his fur. The air was thick with the scent of moss and ancient dust, and a faint hum of power reverberated through the structure. At the heart of the colossal chamber ahead, a single pedestal rose from the floor, and atop it hovered the Feather of Destiny. Its pristine white plumes shimmered with an otherworldly light, untouched by the ravages of time. But Purrdiana's instincts screamed caution. Artifacts of such legend were never left unprotected. His amber eyes scanned the room, taking in every detail: the faint grooves in the floor, the subtle misalignment of the wall tiles. His ears perked at the softest click, a sound so faint it might have been dismissed by a less seasoned adventurer. The ground beneath him trembled. "Here we go," he muttered, his voice steady despite the rising adrenaline. He bolted forward just as razor-sharp spikes erupted from the floor, their tips glinting wickedly in the golden light. Ahead loomed a gaping pit, its depths writhing with a mass of slithering snakes his deepest, most primal fear. His heart pounded, but he steeled himself, leaping over the chasm with a grace that belied the terror clawing at his mind. He landed on a narrow stone bridge, its surface crumbling beneath his weight. Each step sent chunks plummeting into the abyss below, but Purrdiana's agility carried him forward. With a final, desperate leap, he snatched the feather of destiny from its perch, his claws closing around its delicate shaft. A surge of energy coursed through him, electrifying his senses, but the triumph was short. The moment the feather left its pedestal, the temple roared to life, its ancient mechanisms awakening in fury. A daring escape. The walls groaned and cracked, fissures spider webbing across the stone as chunks of debris rained from the ceiling. Purrdiana tucked the feather into his satchel and sprinted toward the exit, his lithe form weaving through the chaos. A massive boulder eerily reminiscent of a trap he'd faced in the tombs of Mio dislodged from the ceiling and began rolling toward him, gaining speed with every turn. Not again, he hissed, his legs pumping faster than ever. The boulder's thunderous rumble filled the air, drowning out the temple's dying groans. The entrance loomed ahead, a shrinking sliver of daylight as the collapsing structure threatened to seal him inside forever. With a final burst of speed, Purrdiana launched himself into the air, twisting mid-leap to slip through the narrowing gap. He landed in a roll on the jungle floor outside, rising to his paws just as the entrance slammed shut with a resounding boom. Dust billowed around him, but he stood unfazed, brushing off his hat and retrieving the feather from his satchel. Its glow pulsed faintly in the fading light, a testament to his victory. The legend lives on. Weeks later, Purrdiana sat in his cluttered study, a sanctuary of relics and maps nestled in a quiet corner of the world. Moonlight streamed through the window, bathing the feather of destiny in a silvery sheen as he examined it closely. The artifact thrummed with a strange energy, and as he held it, he felt a shift within himself, his movements sharper, his thoughts clearer. The legends had not exaggerated its power. Already, he could sense the whispers of ancient wisdom threading through his mind. Guiding his instincts with uncanny precision, he placed the feather in a glass case, its glow illuminating the room as he leaned back in his chair. Another relic safe from the paws of evil, he murmured, a satisfied smirk playing across his lips. But the stillness of the night was deceptive. Beyond the window, hidden in the shadows of the trees, a pair of glowing green eyes watched intently. Their owner, a sleek, black panther with a scar tracing one cheek, bared her fangs in a silent snarl. She was Bastina Shadowclaw, a ruthless treasure hunter, and Purrdiana's oldest rival. The feather of destiny was too great a prize to remain in his possession, and she would stop at nothing to claim it. Purrdiana's ears twitched, sensing a disturbance too subtle for most to notice. He glanced toward the window, his smirk widening into a grin. The adventure wasn't over. It never was.